Next shape we're doing, you guys, is the cylinder. So you should have the picture next to you on the screen while you're watching my video. I want to take a moment right now and point out you don't have to use this ebony pencil, like the one that has the heavier graphite. Sometimes if you're heavy-handed, it's actually nice to start a sketch with just a number 2 pencil. It draws lighter, so you can probably barely see this on the screen. This goes to the idea that we're not going to put a black outline around it. We don't want there to be a dark outline around any of these objects that we're shading. They need to show up because of your shading. So here's my cylinder shape. Don't forget, curving bottom, nice ellipse or kind of an oval shape for the top. This is a solid cylinder that we're looking at. Now if you take a second and look at the photograph, you'll notice that the top is just one flat value because it's flat. There's nothing curving there. So like I've done before, I like to use the side of my pencil a lot when I'm shading. And I switched to my ebony because I do want some good value with this. But I want this to be a nice sort of flat, smooth, kind of a light gray if I could get it really light. And I'm working right up to that pencil line I had, but you can barely see my edge. That's the point. Sometimes I take my pinky finger, give it a little smear so it sort of looks smoother and flatter. That is allowed. Okay. That part was easy. Now we're going to move into shading the body of a cylinder. In the photograph, the light source is coming from this direction. Then I want you to notice on the cylinder it curves. So there is no hard edge. The value from light to dark has to shift really smoothly around the cylinder. It's basically like a value scale. If you were going back to your blended value scale, you did this, right? You went from heavy, kept moving your pencil, and got lighter and lighter and lighter and lighter and lighter. Doing the same thing here. I'm heavy-handed, so I tend to like to start on my darker side. So I'm going to start on this side of the sphere where it's a little, cylinder, where it's darker. Now, I can't do this without getting messy. Notice the edges that I create when I shade are messy. I'm going to go back and clean them up in just a second. Really, really light over here, just enough that we can see that there is something there. Okay, now I'm going to work in a little bit smaller motion to fill in these messy areas here so that it looks clean. And I'm going to go back and make it darker because that just wasn't obvious enough. We want to see a whole value scale, really dark to really light. And we don't want to see any sudden shifts. I need to make sure it blends smoothly. And again, little circles up here. Sometimes I even change direction just to clean up that edge. Okay. And we can use our pinky finger again if you'd like. Give that a little smoothen out, clean it up. Okay. Cast shadow. Every object has to have a cast shadow. If the light's coming from this direction, the solid form is blocking the light, which means the light can't get here, and that's how we know that's where the cast shadow is. For a cylinder, I like to notice that here's the bottom of the shape. So that's about where the cast shadow needs to start from, and I pull it out to the side. If I could use my imagination and draw an imaginary ellipse or oval to be the bottom of my cylinder, I would know that the top is right around there. So I'm going to imagine that I'm pulling the shadow from that part right there and pull it out. Cast shadows should be really dark. Press hard. That cast shadow gives us a lot more dimension than you probably realize because it creates so much contrast on the paper. And like I said, cast shadows can be kind of scribbly. You don't have to make them perfect, but they are an indication of where the light comes from and that this object is sitting on the table. There you go. There's your cylinder. Again, I'd like to see you put in horizon line as just a good habit. The tabletop should be light, and your background, you're going to go ahead and shade it dark. I'm not going to finish that right now. You can do that part on your own. It's pretty simple.